Hi guys, Tom Morrison here, and today we're going to show you how to stretch your lower back. Make sure to stick around until the end of the video, as we're going to cover some reasons why your back might be stiffening up all of the time. First off, what Jenny's going to do is sit down on her own heel, just on one side, with the other leg extended out in front. Then from there, what she's going to do is rotate to one side of her body, and then on the same side that she's rotated, she's going to lift up that shoulder as high as she can to start stretching out down here, and then take a deep breath in, and as she breathes out, she's going to drop herself down that little bit lower, trying to keep the hips where they are. So we're using this leg position to keep the hips where they are, so we're getting a really nice stretch in the QL. Then from there, she's going to sit herself back up and repeat the same thing, but just on the other side. So she's going to rotate up and then lift up that shoulder as much as she can. Remember, everything's connected, so if you stretch out the lat this way, it's going to hit down at the lower back. And then she takes her breath out and just drops the body down lower with that little bit of a twist. So Jenny's quite flexible, so she can get a bit lower. For most people, they'll probably find that they're just that wee bit higher. But as long as you're feeling that stretch and that twist there in the lower back, and then repeat again on that same side, on the other side again, sorry. That's it. So keep the knee like this other leg straight, and then remember about elevating that shoulder to increase the stretch, and then when you breathe out, you drop yourself down. And then one more time on the other side again. That's it. Elevate the shoulder, breathe out, drop yourself down. Good. And then you change the way the legs are. So if Jenny turns to the front for me so you can actually see that rotation, she's going to do the other leg, so now her left leg's under. This is also great to open up the knee as well, and you get a bit of a hamstring stretch, but it's not the main focus point here. So again, you lift up the shoulder as high as you can, big deep breath in, and then as you let it out, you let the body drop, and it just stretches all this out. Good. And then turn to the other side. So if it feels good enough and you want to stay there for a bit longer, that's absolutely fine to do, but 4 times each side is generally enough. That's it. So you get a nice rotation here as well. So a lot of people get really caught up with just stretching themselves up and down like that, but if you rotate the body and stretch that way, you'll get a much better stretch. Awesome, so do that 4 times on each side. If you can't sit comfortably on your heel like this, you could do it seated. It won't feel as good as the shoulder elevation and breath will, but it will still help you out. Next, what Jenny's going to do is fold over at the hip with a good bend in the knees, and she's going to grab her own elbows. Then from there, what I want you to do is add that same elevation of the shoulder blade in, and you'll start to feel it down at the lower back. And you're going to reach down like this 4 times and just gradually increase that stretch. Then when you're there, you then straighten the legs up. You'll probably feel this in the hamstrings a bit more, but it's not as important, but it is still a nice stretch. And then you're going to bend the knees again and do that same thing again. Reach down 4 times. That's it. Then if Jenny just stands up and just shows that from the side as well for me, so turn this way for me. So same thing, so good bend in the knees, so it takes the hamstrings out of the equation. Fold over until you get a little bit of a stretch in the lower back, and then actually reach with your elbows down to the floor 4 times. Then when you get there, straighten the legs out again, and then bend the knees again, and then reach again. Now you see Jenny's actually got lower than she was at the start there. So if you do struggle to touch your toes accidentally, this is quite a nice one that will help with that as well. Now that your lower back feels awesome, let's cover some of the reasons that it may be tightening up. The last thing that you want to do is get caught in the cycle of having to stretch all of the time. Yes, these movements feel awesome and make you feel really good, but you shouldn't feel the need to have to do them every day. First thing to look at is having good all-round core strength. So you have 4 different types of core strength that you want to make sure that you're covering, which are isometric, rotational, anti-rotational, and also reactive core stability as well. So if you don't know what any of those are, make sure to check out our 3 types of core strength video, and that will give you a better idea. The next thing is to address everything upstream and downstream of the side of pain, your upper back and your hips. Your upper back should have more movement and better mobility than your lumbar spine. Your lumbar spine requires more stability in order to feel good and stable. The majority of your back stretching should be focused on your thoracic spine. Your hips should not only be flexible, but also strong so that your lower back does not have to compensate for anything. Remember, pain is your body just trying to tell you to be careful. It's trying to protect you from dangerous situations. The fastest way to address all of these things is to pick up the simplistic mobility method if you haven't already. It is the best way to hone into all of these concepts and work on them efficiently and effectively.